The News Hour Special Edition.
A very good evening. You're watching the News Hour Special Edition with me, Kristween Walia. Let's quickly start with the biggest talking point, and not just today, but the last couple of days, especially since we're talking about election season, since we're talking about both Himachal Pradesh and Gujarat. Viewers, every time there's a mention of the Uniform Civil Code in political circles, a debate over the same gets reignited. Days after the Gujarat cabinet announced setting up of a committee to study the modalities of implementing the UCC, today BJP National President JP Nadda, while releasing the party's manifesto for Himachal, promised to implement UCC if voted back to power. Now, the party made 11 promises in its Sankalp Patra to woo voters, with focus on, apart from the UCC, serving Waqf board properties and a slew of SOPs for farmers, women and the youth as well. First up, listen into the promises made by the BJP in its manifesto.
हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार यहां पर यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड लेके आएगी और इसके लिए एक समिति बनाई जाएगी एक्सपर्ट्स की, और उनकी रिपोर्ट के आधार पर हिमाचल प्रदेश में यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड लगाया जाएगा।
अब बारी है कॉमन सिविल कोड की। मैं आपको कहकर जाता हूं, हिमाचल में जयराम ठाकुर की सरकार ला दो, हिमाचल में कॉमन सिविल कोड लागू हो जाएगा, यहां कोई नहीं रोक सकता।
Well, BJP's bet on UCC, however, triggered a war of words between the Saffron Party and several in the opposition. Several opposition parties questioned the timing of the announcement and claimed it will destroy the multicultural facets of tribals in Himachal. The Congress also thinks this is a bit to polarize and to divide the nation.
अरे हमारी विचारधारा जी आज की थोड़ी है। यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड तो हम कब की बात करते हैं, राम मंदिर बनाने की बात करते हैं, ट्रिपल तलाक से निजात दिलाने की बात कब से करते हैं। जब सत्ता में आते हैं राम मंदिर का शिलान्यास भी करते हैं, ट्रिपल तलाक से भी निजात दिलाते हैं, 370-35 से भी निजात दिलाते हैं, और अब यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड भी हिमाचल में लागू करने का काम।
Why unable to implement this so far? Just a few days earlier, before the election, they are announcing it. Why? What is the reason? Except they are basically talking about Awqaf and UCC just to polarize the society.
भारत को एक रखने के लिए और समाज को आधुनिकता के साथ चलाने के लिए यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की आवश्यकता है, और माननीय नड्डा जी ने वही बात कही है। अतः भारतीय जनता पार्टी का यह घोषित मत है कि इस देश में एक सिविल कानून होना चाहिए, और यह सिविल कानून एक होने का तात्पर्य किसी धर्म, किसी संप्रदाय, किसी जाति या किसी भाषा बोलने वाले पर किसी प्रकार का आक्रमण नहीं है, बल्कि उन्हें एक कानून के अंतर्गत लाकर विशेष करके महिलाओं को एक समान अधिकार और समान स्थान और सम्मान देने की बात है।
जेपी नड्डा जी जिस तरह से यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की बात हिमाचल में लाने की कर रहे हैं, पूरे भारत में जब भी इसका विरोध हुआ तो विरोध इसीलिए हुआ कि चाहे वो हिमाचल प्रदेश हो, ये जो हमारे पहाड़ी वो सभी ट्राइबल जो बेल्ट है, उनकी जो पूरी मल्टीफेसेट कल्चर है, जो उनकी रीति रिवाज है, सबसे पहले भारतीय जनता पार्टी की अगर सरकार बनती है, हिमाचल के लोगों का जो पूरा एक खूबसूरत संस्कृति है, डाइवर्सिटी है, उस पे इसका इम्पैक्ट होगा।
All right, so those are the kind of reactions coming in. But viewers, well, Himachal is not the first state where the BJP has announced an idea of UCC. Earlier it was Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Assam and Gujarat. All of these states have expressed the desire to follow the one nation, one law path. While the BJP claims it provides equal status to all citizens and promotes gender parity across religions, the idea of one nation, one law faces opposition over arguments that it is impractical due to diverse population and no consensus can be reached on it. Let me, on that note, quickly open this up. We have Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us this evening. Also with us is Karan Verma, who's an author. And we have Kamru Choudhary with us, a leader from the Congress party, along with Islamic scholar Atikur Rahman. Gentlemen, thank you for taking out your time this evening. Mr. Tuhin Sinha, I want to begin by asking you, because, you know, these are All right, I believe not quite through with the Tuhin Sinha. So we'll start with Karan Verma. Karan Verma, you know, this idea of one nation, one law has been thrown in by the BJP on multiple occasions. Yes, many of times we've heard this come in during election seasons, talk about Uttarakhand, very recently in Gujarat as well, and now they've promised this as part of their manifesto in Himachal Pradesh. The question being asked of the BJP is, why only think and remember about the UCC during elections?
I don't think they've just thought of this before the elections. It's been in their manifesto ever since the time they were not even close to getting power. Even when they had mere 2 seats in the Lok Sabha, from that time they've been talking about uniform civil code. Yes, certain ideas take time to come to fruition. It was referred to the 21st Law Commission in 2016. Ever since then, there has been an ongoing process of consultations and trying to build a consensus for this. We used to say the same about Article 370. Why isn't it being removed? In fact, in the first term, people said, why is Article 370 not removed? Why is there not a law on triple talaq? But BJP delivered on those promises. I think Uniform Civil Code is the next logical step in that direction, and I have great expectations from the party. In a secular country like ours, where there is a uniform criminal code, there has to be a uniform civil code. The exploitation of the disempowered people or the women has to stop, and uniform civil code, as said by the Supreme Court categorically in 2015, there cannot be separate laws for separate communities. I think that's the next logical step, and it should happen very soon.
Well, the Supreme Court itself has pitted for one nation, one law, and you're right in pointing that out, Karan Verma. If I could go across to Mr. Sinha, I think he's through this time. Mr. Sinha, you know why this question is being asked of the BJP is, and why it concerns me while we're debating this very topic is, because in a sense, do you think that the fact that this is brought up time and again, election after election, also takes away from the very idea on why we need to have an isolated debate on it, on what the pros and perhaps some cons of UCC are? You know, the opposition parties, every time the BJP promises UCC, talks about UCC as part of its manifesto, starts taking a jibe against the BJP on accounts of why do they always remember this during election season?
Well, you know, there is no good time to do a good thing. The UCC is an ideological commitment for us in much the same way like the construction of Ram Temple was, in much the same way as the abrogation of Article 370 was. And to all those people who have a compulsive habit of asking, Tariq, kab bataoge, again I repeat, there is no good time to do a good thing because it is already delayed. Ideally, UCC should have been seriously debated in 1956, around the time when Hindu Marriage Act was brought. But then, you know, the tendency of minority appeasement which the Congress party had been following did not allow them to start a serious discussion on that. The second instance when they should have seriously, you know, discussed this was 1985, at the time when Supreme Court had passed the judgment on Shah Bano, but instead they went against the Supreme Court judgment on Shah Bano. So I think it is about time that the women of this country get justice. It is about time that gender neutrality is implemented in the right sense, and I think, you know, better late than never. This is going to be a massive start, and now that, you know, we are pursuing it, once we pursue something, we take it to its logical end. So I think in the next 1 year or so, you will see it being implemented in several states and, you know, subsequently at the national level.
Okay, so you're saying this is in fact a phased attempt, just like the Ram Mandir was, just like abrogation of Article 370 was. All of this doesn't happen overnight, and hence the BJP perhaps needs to be given some time. Let me go across to Mr. Choudhary.
Our ideological commitment to UCC is as strong as intense as it was on the other two issues.
Okay, so that's what I just summed up for you, Mr. Sinha. Let me go across to Mr. Choudhary. Mr. Choudhary, you've heard what the BJP response is. Now, given the fact that the top court itself has highlighted this issue, spoken of the need of UCC in our nation, and the fact that this only amounts to one law for the entire country, it only amounts to bringing in equality, then what's the rationale behind actually opposing something such as UCC?
Yeah, Ms. Walia, the first and foremost, you know, this UCC is an election jumla. We have always maintained that. Why I say that? BJP actually, it cannot decide on any policy without targeting the Muslim community out. Look at the Himachal Manifesto. They have targeted the Muslim, though Muslims constitute hardly 1.5% of the population, entire population of Himachal. But this BJP, they do not want to leave anything to chance to polarize the elections
Chaudhary,
out
UCC
here.
means
now, let me cite
bringing in one law for the entire nation, and we're talking about personal laws. So why is it being read as targeting one particular community?
I understand what. Let me come here. It is a projection that has been done over the last few years that the Muslim women do not enjoy any justice under the Islamic laws that they follow right now. Now let me just give me the what will be the counter for the Hindu Undivided Family laws. What will happen to the Mitakshara laws? What will happen to the Daibaga laws? What will happen to the Meghalaya Matriarchate Society? What will happen to the Naga customary laws? India is made up of diverse state, diverse culture, diverse religion, all amalgamated into a nation. We have to respect each and every culture and religion as it is. We cannot just go and interfere and say that your laws are bad than ours, so we need to bring a uniform law. Okay, then why don't I suggest that the entire country follows the Islamic law? Since it is the first religion in the whole world which provided some semblance of right to the Muslim woman in the world in the first place. It was there in the 1500 years ago, it was there already. So that's not the argument. The argument out here is that BJP
but we're not
bring such type
we're not
of
moving towards the Islamic law, but neither are we moving towards the quote-unquote Hindu law. We're talking about one generic law that brings in equality for all, sir. We're not talking about religion. In fact, I must point it out, Mr. Chaudhary, the idea about UCC, the idea linked to UCC is bringing in uniformity to get away with religious parameters. That's the intent here. So bringing in an Islamic law or a Hindu law is exactly what we're not wanting to do. Tuin Sinha wants to come in.
Absolutely shocked. I'm absolutely shocked
let me finish,
by the
please,
false
equivalence
drawn by Mr. Chaudhary, and this is what proves that they are closet fanboys of the Sharia law. They need an alibi, they need an excuse to come up with minority appeasement, which is what he has once again done. Look at the ridiculous equivalence which he has drawn. Are we imposing the Hindu way of life? Are we imposing the Hindu way of life? We are rooting for equality, which is mandated by Article 44 of the Constitution. By drawing a false equivalence and rooting for Islamic laws over here, he has shown that he does not believe the Constitution and the Congress. The Congress party has time and again hoodwinked the Constitution. The Congress party has time and again gone against the Constitution.
Mr. Chaudhary, one second. Speaking over each other is not going to serve any purpose, gentlemen. Let me to put this in perspective, now go back to 2019 and what the court had said. And I'd like Atikur Rahman to come in. Mr. Atikur Rahman, in 2019, the top court expressed its disappointment over lack of UCC, saying, and I quote, whereas the founders of the Constitution in Article 44 in Part 4 dealing with directive principles of state policy had hoped and expected that the state shall endeavour to secure for the citizens a uniform civil court throughout the territories of India. Till date, no action has been taken in this regard. The top court has in fact expressed concerns over why a national ambition around UCC has not been witnessed till date, and there you have politics playing out. If an idea like UCC is being spoken of, why is it only being valued in political terms? The concern here is that it is legally sound and valid and certainly suits the current times that we're living in. So what's the basic contention here?
Well said, well said. The essentiality of the Uniform Civil Code cannot be denied further. The Supreme Court time and again has brought to the notice of our society the patriarchal mindset in the name of religious scriptures, how they are usurping the women power, how they are denying the rights of the women. So the essentiality cannot be denied, point number one. Point number two over here is, why the BJP government is having such a stepmotherly treatment towards UCC when Karan Verma rightly said It is on their manifesto since they were having 2 seats in the parliament. So far, they have not initiated anything in the parliament. Now, what is the purpose, I want to know from the BJP spokesperson, of a uniform civil code? One nation, one law, when different states, Uttarakhand, Himachal, Gujarat, are having different manifestos in it, different deliberations on it.
Okay.
One nation, one law needs an ordinance, an immediate ordinance if the BJP is serious on the floor of the parliament, rather than different states. If they have the guts, they should go about it. Gender equality, gender justice is the core argument.
Okay. Tuin Sinha, how would you respond to that? A similar announcement was made, a big announcement was made ahead of Uttarakhand elections as well very recently. We've heard similar revelations come to light from Gujarat while campaigning has been ongoing, and now in Himachal Pradesh also it finds its mention in the manifesto. Why not make it a pan-India issue, give it that relevance and implement it? What has taken so many years if you're so serious about UCC?
My friend Atikur is unfortunately a very big hypocrite. If we had brought an ordinance at the national level, he would have called us autocratic. You know, these are things which the Congress has hoodwinked for the last many decades, and they require proper discussion and confidence building measures at several levels, which we are basically doing through the constitution of these panels. So please appreciate the gesture which is going into, you know, the constitution of these panels and the discussions which will follow. But the point that I am trying to make is that let me ask a question to Atikur Rahman on your show. Is he prepared to abandon the practice of polygamy, which unfortunately is the root cause of dysfunctional societies in a modern, dysfunctional families in a modern society? So I think, you know, there are some very sharp questions which the opposition need to answer. But to escape that, they always bring the question of timing. Please appreciate the gesture, forget the timing. There is no good time to start a good thing if it has to happen now.
So Tuin Sinha, you're saying that while Mr. Choudhary has taken a clear position, he says, no, I'm not okay with the idea of UCC. Atikur Rahman in the past has not been very open to the idea. Now just to question the BJP, he's now pointing fingers at the BJP, training those guns at the BJP. Atikur Rahman, are you okay with the concept of marriage, inheritance, adoption, all of that falling under the ambit of UCC and actually being one law for the entire country? Are you okay with those changes being brought into the personal laws in the nation?
Very important, very important. I said gender justice and gender equality, and I bet most of the Quranic laws will have to be incorporated in the Uniform Civil Code, because if there is any gender justice and gender equality, it is in the Quran. And Tuhin, Allah says, marry only one, because you cannot maintain equality amongst your women. Marry only one, not 4. Are you getting me, Tuhin?
Then where is the problem? Yes, so exactly, where is the problem then? You should come out and support UCC, because the practice unfortunately has existed and which needs to be removed.
Okay, so the only problem is the promises that have been made, no implementation done so far. Why is the BJP bringing up this issue every time right ahead of the elections? Karan Verma, how would you respond to that? What do you think is going on? Because, you know, here's the BJP saying that this was on our agenda since the longest time. In fact, our constitution makers have also emphasized on the need of UCC. The courts are at it to justify and explain as to why this is perhaps the need of the hour. But yet you have the BJP very, very close to the elections come out with this promise, and it's not being seen on ground. That's why these questions are being asked by the opposition. This ammunition is being given to the opposition.
No, I think the opposition doesn't have much to offer, so they better grasp at whatever ammunition they get. In the 21st Law Commission, as I pointed out in 2016, they had referred to the committee. An entire questionnaire was sent to different parties. So it is an ongoing process. An issue which requires coming together of so many community. so many communities, different people, different thoughts. I think it will take time to evolve. Having said that, I think now is the time where we must evolve on this and reach a consensus. I am shocked by Kamru Choudhary, who said Islam is the religion that taught respect for women. Look at his hypocrisy. He better take back his words and apologize to the people here. Don't you dare say that Islam is the only religion. Hinduism, other religions have always shown respect for women. That is a very derogatory statement. Do you think 4 marriages is the concept of respect for women?
Mr. Chaudhary,
do you think nikah halala is the concept of respect for women?
From where Karan Verma is trying to come is perhaps, have we forgotten the Shah Bano case? And you know, if you're talking about how this is taking away a certain rights of the Muslim women,
the Supreme Court judgment,
then how can you forget the Shah Bano case? The courts in as many words said that this is a step in the direction of national integration.
And Congress has that blood on their hands.
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary, Karan, let him come in.
What point you are trying to make out here?
Pass on the buck, Karan.
The point that you are trying to make out here is this Shah Bano case was a particular case. Now let me ask a few questions out here to the esteemed panel and to your viewers. In the Mitakshara Hindu
No, you first answer about Shah Bano.
Let's not digress. Mr. Chaudhary, it's a pointed question, a very simple question.
The Supreme Court
would you agree that justice was served, or would you deny it?
Target the Muslims? Will the Hindu Undivided Family law
No, but where was a Muslim targeted in the Shah Bano case? Very simple question, Mr. Chaudhary. Karan, hold on. Let him come in. Let him come in with a response. Karan, please hold on. I'm going to have to lower your fader. Mr. Chaudhary, pointed question asked. Please come out with a pointed answer.
Because it is very easy punching back the Muslims.
No, but why are you making those?
I'm asking you a pointed question. I'm not a slave of
drastic
anybody out here
statements, sir. We're asking you what is your premises in leveling those kind of allegations, because they're very serious in nature.
Is the UCC only for one particular community? Is the UCC only for a particular community? Why the Mitakshara law is not debated? Why the Dabhaga law is not debated? Why the Hindu Undivided Family law is not debated?
Sir, one second.
People who deserve
simple question.
Wives
does the UCC amount to a majoritarian law?
Not published by the
does the UCC, Mr. Chaudhary, amount to a majoritarian law or a Hindu law that is being implemented in the entire country?
It may be required in this country. It may be required in this country. But the question remains, why are you vilifying a particular community in the name of UCC? There are flaws in each and every religious laws, like the Mitakshara law, where there is no right
Mr.
given
Chaudhary,
to a woman. Still now it is followed in major parts of India.
It's perhaps your perception, because nobody here is saying this is to do away with the rights of a Muslim, with the rights of a Parsi, with the rights of a Hindu. It is to bring everyone on the same platter and serve justice as much as it is being served to a man from the Muslim community or to the Hindu community. And that's exactly why we're talking about this debate. And the only question I want to leave this at is whether the fact that this is brought up every time in election season is taking away from us the very idea why this debate needs more consideration, more focus, and should be an isolated debate at that. I'm going to have to leave it at that. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the special edition this evening.